Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here. And I'm Mighty the Armadillo here, welcome you all back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Super Mario All-Stars, aka Super Mario Collection for those of you who lived in Japan, while we're playing through Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Super Mario USA, in Japan anyway, for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom and Nintendo Wii due to the forms of the 25th anniversary celebration for the Super Mario Bros. So, anyways, the last time we've essentially did somehow manage to complete World 1 all the way up to World 4. So naturally speaking though, we've already at the halfway point in terms of Super Mario Bros. 2 itself. So today, relatively speaking, we're also able to wrap things up through everything in terms of Super Mario Bros. 2 by going through World 5 all the way up to World 7. So relatively speaking, only 3 worlds we can able to go through for this part. So relatively speaking though, everything else will be pretty much accounted for, right? Well, suffice to say for this point, bro, that relatively speaking, we're actually doing pretty well, despite there are some, quite a few death situations here and there, to be more specifically with those annoying spark-like enemies like such. And of course, keep that in mind though, because, well, if you've seen our original NES version of the game, you do realize we keep on collecting those coins, and because of this though, in order to able to get coins in this particular game is that you need to able to go for another dimension of the actual subcon, and basically you have to send the actual potion into the floor, or toss the potion into the floor I should say, and then basically place it at any point where it does have some vegetable patches here and there, so just in case you can able to unplug them until you're able to claim yourself some coins, and then you can use those coins to, you know, activate the slot machine, so that way you can able to actually get more extra lives, as you probably already saw quite a few times ever since in Journey Forms Event Tuesday. So either way though, because chances are, oh wow, I got my extra life back, that's actually very generous of you. So either way, and of course there's going to be a point where this level does contain the most infamous mushroom placement in the entire game, which appears to be in order able to get up there, you need able to, I won't classify for saying you do need Luigi for this, because I can assure you that he can jump higher, because there's one thing I've completely forgotten to mention about. Oh, speaking of the devil, here's the forms of the green variation of Bodo right there, which meaning about the fact that she's definitely a lot harder than the forms of how it does on the previous 2 counterparts of Bodo. So hopefully we can able to take her down if we can, and there she goes. So, yeah, speaking of such though, about the fact the matter is though, that obviously if you play as Mario, he's obviously an all-around character, like a very standard, normal, character, gameplay style or something like that. And for Luigi, he can jump higher, while at the same time he occasionally slips at one point. And as far as for Peach, that basically you can able to float in midair, which it'll come in handy though, especially noticeable for Worlds 5 and 6, essentially. And finally for Toad, that he runs a lot faster than anyone, and on top of that he can pick up stuff a lot faster, although unlike Peach, that she picks up stuff a lot slower. So because of that though, that's as far as we can able to say about this. But again, Sonic has already pointed things out in Journey Forms of any NES version of the game, so I don't feel like we can able to mention about that again. So either way, oh, something tells me we're also, oh, so close to 23 lives, but that's okay, 22 is quite enough as it is. So, relatively speaking, I don't think we can probably get the game over anytime soon, because relatively speaking, getting coins is very important, especially noticeable if you really want to rank up more extra lives, then we can possibly do that. So either way, so let's go ahead and do World 5 2 as Toad, because I'm pretty sure, well, despite the fact it has been a very long while since we actually last played Super Mario Bros. 2, because obviously about the fact that, well, Maxi is already working on Rapid Stream so far, Journey Forms of in Piglet's big game, and sure enough though, about the fact that he's actually doing not too bad, even though despite the fact that he occasionally missed out on certain cookie placements here and there, but I'm sure enough though, he will be back for that until whenever when he completely done with the forms of the actual main dreams first, before we're able to take on, you know, the ultimate challenge up ahead. So either way though, that might be saying something. So although, exponentially, with those little, vase sections right there, as we've already entering one right now, that is actually super cool to able to see the actual backgrounds. And on top of that, it wasn't until I accidentally just tossed the potion like nothing else, but either way, that's besides the point. But anyway, so yeah, something's worth noting for is that until whenever we get to the Game Boy Advance version of the game, it does have its own unique music in the background as well, which that could be also applies for the forms of Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3, exponentially speaking, whenever we do manage to able to tackle for those games in due time. So either way, let's just go ahead and, you know, keep on. Oh, I somehow activate the timer somehow, and, well, I honestly have no idea why I keep on tossing those random items on screen, but either way, though, we'll just, go ahead and focus and continue. And besides, I don't think we don't need to worry about continuously dying anytime soon, because obviously we've got, you know, tons of lives from now on, thanks to the slot machine, so I think, relatively speaking, we can pretty much guarantee we're able to beat the game in comfortable ways. Well, apart from a couple of exceptions though, mind you, so either way. So yeah, a few things we want to explain for this point today, and that is about the fact that, well, today's date, of course, is the 16th of March today, in this case in 2023 today. And speaking of the halfway point, we're now on to the halfway point in terms of March in the forms of 2023, before we move on to April. So, and I think April is where the point where, you know, about time that Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp is finally going to be releasing until next month. And let's just hope it doesn't get delayed again, because if it does, it'll be essentially becomes more accurately like similar thing as the forms of how it does it on No Time to Die, the James Bond movie. So either way, except with a different topic instead of the forms of that particular C word. So either way, let's go ahead and take down Red Boulder again, and thankfully we've got ourselves the heart back after getting hit by those spikes from that massive drop. But either way though, let's just jeez, I'm gonna have to stop being so hasty all of a sudden. But there we go, we've obviously took her down, and there we go. Nicely done, and, you know, everything else goes all fine and dandy and everything. So, and of course, we'll go ahead and select Mario for World 5-3. Now, I think to me though, World 5-3 is by far the hardest world in the game in my opinion, just because of all that particular, you know, bombs still trying to able to ambush us. Like, for instance, there's actually a bomb right now, and I think something tells me there might be a mushroom in here. So either way, good thing we've placed the potion in a correct spot, so things should be all... Aw, man, I could wish I was gonna grab the star, man, to make this particular level a lot more easier, but unfortunately though, we have to do the hard way, so whoops. So, anyway, as I said before, today's date, of course, is the 16th of March today, in this case in 2023 today, and as we mentioned this before, we are now on to the halfway point in terms of March, before we move on to April, where not only the Advance Wars plus, well, usually relatively speaking, Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp is going to be finally released, but also, we've only got about a couple of days now until the Super Mario Bros. Movie is going to be released on the big screen. So either way though, still very excited about this, do you think, Mighty? Well, I could possibly for surely for this point, Ray, that everyone else is pretty excited about this, especially concerning about the fact that, well, I think we've already speculated about the fact that maybe potentially that particular film will get ourselves a really good box office performance, you know, just like in the forms of how it does it on Minions, Rise of the Goo, or anything else like, or Gru for that matter, because either way though, despite the fact that we have not seen Minions sequel, just because we're not really into the forms of the Minions as much as the next guy. Yeah, because there are so many merchandises 24/7 every nowadays, especially concerning about the fact that obviously Minions are basically it's like the equivalent to Rabbids from the likes of the Rayman series. Well, every now and then it might actually be like, well, I don't know about you, because it has been about, you know, quite a few days since I actually mentioned something related to the Rabbids stuff. Aside from the fact that I've obviously almost completely done with the forms of one of the first DLC packs for the likes of Mario Plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, that obviously I've already accomplished the classic mode on my own time, and every now and then I'm now moved on to the premium mode, which I will say, premium mode is definitely a little bit more challenging compared to the forms of classic mode, just because of all that you know, the bosses you have to go through with all that super bosses in mind, which are essentially the giant variations of the already existed boss fights, or specifically giant variations of certain enemy encounters that you guys have already come across into ever since throughout the majority of the game, ranging between, you know, the first planet or, you know, essentially every planet for that matter. So either way, let's just go ahead and use the carpet to able to make our way to the very end of this particular portion of the level. And it's a good thing I somehow managed to do a very cool trick by simply able to actually clip through that particular, or just try to slide through with the Shy Guy in mind to make the actual level a bit more easy and self-explanatory rather than just trying to deal with the hardest parts throughout the level. Seriously, I just love doing that, especially concerning about the fact that, well, I just want to make things a bit more faster, you know? But either way, let's just go ahead and take down Bodo first before we take on the next boss. So in some cases though, obviously that boss was non-existent during the Forms Within Doki Doki Panic. So instead, you're able to actually come across into, for this game in particular, in Super Mario Bros. 2, here we have Claw Grip, which he seems pretty tricky, because obviously that he just directly throw the rock right at us and cause our death. So, oh well, no big deal, but at the very least we got ourselves 3 units of health, so it should make things a bit more simple, really. So basically in this boss fight, you have to able to pick up the rock and then toss it back at him. So yeah, that's essentially how you can do it for this boss. And in fact, no matter what though, every now and then we now need to able to hit him for about 5 hits. So just like in Forms of how it does it on Mouser for the second time. So in relatively speaking, as I said before, unlike in Doki Doki Panic, that basically you don't able to come across into Claw Grip, so instead you fight Mouser for the 3rd time. So yeah, he's obviously taken down, and that pretty much concludes World 5. So now we'll move on to World 6. So, and good thing we've got an extra life back, thanks to that particular cherry icon. So, either way, now it's going to select Luigi on World 6-1. So, and I think relatively speaking though, that we're actually getting there at this point. And by that time, once we finish up with the Forms of Super Mario Bros. 2, we can expect we can now able to move on to the final game in the lineup in Super Mario All-Stars, and that's what appears to be Super Mario Bros. 3. And I think relatively speaking though, spoiler alert, I think we'll also do exactly the same way as the Forms of how it does it on the NES version of that particular playthrough back in December 2022, that we're also able to go for once again a 2-player playthrough, just to make things a little bit more interesting, especially concerning that the views count for Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES version was actually pretty good, especially concerning about the fact of how entertaining it was, especially with 2 players comes into play. Although, unlike in Super Mario Advance 4 or Super Mario Bros. 3 in mind, that you do have the option you can able to actually select up to, like, I don't know, just Mario alone, or Mario and Luigi, so you can able to actually share your turn, just like in Forms of how it does it in the previous 2 versions. So, and I do apologize for my croaky throat at the moment, because, well, I just have no idea why my croaky throat exists anyway, so... Okay, so the mushroom was not there, so at least I did somehow try to look and search everywhere, but apparently though, I was not hesitating for able to try to search things up. So either way though, it's fine, I'm just gonna do this the hard way then by, you know, refuse to take a hit or anything else like that, but either way, let's just go ahead and grab some coins and stuff like this. So I think 1 coin should be okay for me anyway, so yeah, I was faulting myself about it, so either way. Oh yeah, something's worth noting for is about the fact that there's going to be a new game that's going to be coming up in Dreamy Forms Within tomorrow, something related to Bayonetta Origins that is appeared to be releasing tomorrow, despite the fact that we actually lost interest with the Forms Within Bayonetta series, believe it or not. Well, because relatively speaking though, Mighty, because obviously we're still waiting for the forms of some more Nintendo Switch stuff along the way, specifically The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and on top of that, with Pikmin 4, and eventually, hopefully, we'll finally get a chance to able to see some more details about Metroid Prime 4 in the future. God knows when, just because some people seem to able to keep on speculating that apparently that The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom might actually be expected to be the last big first-party Nintendo title, which as a result, for the Nintendo Switch anyway, which I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be true or not, but we'll have to wait and find out for the majority of the year, because as far as I'm aware, we've only just got about 2 months left until the game comes out, so relatively speaking, I'm still very excited about it, although we haven't exactly pre-ordered the game yet, until, let's just say until next month that we will do after Easter, or potentially after seeing, you know, the Super Mario Bros. Movie first. So that'll be the actual ideal thing to do that, especially concerning about the fact that, you know, everyone else is very hyped about the film already. So, like, we've already pointed things out so many times already, so either way though, yeah, let's just go ahead and take down that particular green Bodo right there, so just to ensure that we'll do the proper method by not only just trying to block the that little hallway, or trying to block that particular thing right there, so just in case that Bodo never shoots the fireballs at us again, but if eventually if she starts to get closer to us, then we can deal with a 3-hit combo, despite the fact that it's impossible to deal with for this point, but either way, we'll just take it as it is. So there we go. Oh yeah, and another thing I would like to mention though is about the fact that obviously we did somehow play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on our own time, and been experiencing the forms of the Fruit Cup and the Boomerang Cup in our own time, and I will say this right now, I had a lot of fun playing those cups. Although, relatively speaking, whenever I do manage to play those cups on my own time with the actual Grand Prix mode, that jeez Louise, well, nothing bad or anything like that, but it's just about the fact that of trying to able to get ourselves the 3-star rankings, it's literally impossible. Well, at least I will say this right now, whenever I experience Fruit Cup and Boomerang Cup in 150cc and Mirror classes, surprisingly enough, it only took me 1 attempt, mainly because about the fact that I'm more accustomed to 150cc speed, not only mainly because I'm essentially pretty good at it, and as far as 200cc goes, my god, it actually took us about quite a few attempts, let's just say 8 in total attempts, when it comes to 2 cups combined. Let's just say, in terms of the forms of Fruit Cup, it actually did took me about 5 attempts to able to actually get the 3-star rankings as far as I'm aware, and compared to the forms of the Boomerang Cup, I somehow managed able to do this for about 3 attempts, and Jesus Louise, the amount of times I keep on like doing wrong drifting and stuff like that, and because of that though, I've obviously lost footing of myself, and because of that though, definitely a little bit trickier than the forms of how it does it back in Journey Forms of in Wave 3 in my opinion, just because about the fact that, well, at least back then, that at least I did somehow obtain 3-star rankings in Rock Cup and the Moon Cup on the first attempt with the 3-star rankings in 200cc, so yeah, I just have no idea why that my performance just somehow feels a bit weird at times when it comes to likely getting that 3-star rankings in mind, but that's just me. Now of course, as you probably expect, this will be the final time selecting Princess Peach on this run, just because, as we said this before, we will try to make it a little bit more fair for any other characters out there to able to be played those characters for about 5 times for this run through. So there goes Peach for that particular play times. Now let's go ahead and play as Toad for the final time. Now as far as the final world is concerned, obviously we'll select Luigi on World 7-1, and the final level in the game, World 7-2, that we all were able to actually pick Mario, of course. And before we're able to get into more details into other topics worth noting for, here's that massive shortcut as far as what Sonic has already shown you guys ever since in the NES version of the game, is by simply you need to able to utilize the quicksand, and if you find this door, and basically that allows you to skip the entire portion of the level, just like in Forms of how it does it. You know, if you use Princess Peach in level 4-3, and then try to float into the other side, and that way you can able to skip the entire level. But then again, if we decide to tackle for the Game Boy Advance version of the game, I don't think we can probably do that, just because of that particular collectible system. So either way, so there goes Red Bodo right there to take on, you know, Try Clyde for the second and the final time. And it's definitely a lot harder than the Forms of how it does in World 2, just because of that narrow battle arena, so I get the horrible feeling we might as well take a death again, so Yep, there goes our another death. But keep that in mind though, bro, you still only got about 15 lives left, so you don't have to necessarily worry about getting the game over anytime soon, as you said this before. Yeah, that's probably true, especially thanks to that particular slot machine in mind. So, and another thing I did not actually realize is that I do apologize for that particular photosensitivity seizure reducing parts right there. Every time whenever we do manage to able to get like a 1-up or something, well, I've honestly have no idea why that exists anyway. So either way, there goes no bonuses at all because we didn't get any single coins from that particular level. So now we move on to the final world in Super Mario Bros. 2. That is of course World 7. And unlike in any other worlds in the game, this world only has 2 levels. So, and to make things a little bit more interesting is that these 2 levels are very lengthy. Well, not so much on the first level right here, but the second one, it is definitely a lot more lengthy. So either way though, because obviously we're about to take on Wards once and for all. So relatively speaking though, about the fact that I've honestly have no idea why Nintendo refuses to able to bring back Wards in any other like Mario games at this point. Well, I can assure you because about the fact that, well, technically, even though it's a bit tricky to explain of how this particular situation turns up, but either way though, let's just, oh jeez, can I? Okay, at least that might be alright for me, so... Oh, screw you, Ninja! Screw you! Well, at the very least, we got the checkpoint right there, so I don't think I need to be overly panicked about any of all this, so that should be alright for me. So, in terms of the forms of, anything else we can probably discuss here is that, well, recently, PlayStation 5 now has the ability to able to actually access to Discord, voice chat now. So either way though, yeah, pretty cool to able to have that support now. So yeah, that's actually super dope and everything. And on top of that, we've only just got about, I would say about 8 days left now until Resident Evil 4 Remake is going to be releasing on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and finally Xbox Series X/S, not Xbox One, just because, well, obviously with the graphics and all that stuff, that might be explains why that game is not going to be releasing on Xbox One, which is kind of unfortunate in my case, but luckily though, the game does manage to able to get its release on PlayStation 4 luckily, so either way, that's as far as I can usually talk about this, so... Now, of course, as you already know, we've already taken another death thanks to that particular Spark enemies and stuff like that. So, either way, though, I will say, Sparks is definitely, by far, is my least favorite enemies to come across into. Well, alongside with those Panzers. Now, don't get me wrong, we did somehow manage to able to avoid Panzers no problem during the course of the majority of this playthrough. But as far as Sparks are concerned, jeez, they are so a pain to dodge because I can't really tell if the actual speed or not. So either way though, let's go ahead and take on Green Bodo for the final time, because obviously until whenever we get to the final level in the game, we'll pretty much guarantee we will come across into the Red Bodo for the final time. And there goes the slot machine again, just because we still haven't got any coins. But who matters at this point, because either way, we now moved on to the true final level in Super Mario Bros. 2. That's of course World 7 2. So, yeah, expecting that this particular level is going to be super lengthy and everything. So, but hopefully we'll be able to actually complete this level in due time, before we move on to the forms of the fourth and the final game of Super Mario All-Stars, and that is of course Super Mario Bros. 3. In some cases, everyone else seems to think this is one of the best Mario games of all time. Well, for Super Mario Bros. 3 that is, alongside with Super Mario World, which, again, we'll probably discuss more details onto that whenever we get to the extra video of Super Mario All-Stars in general, and, oh, dang it, there's so many sparks in this level though, which probably is the reason why that this is considered to be one of the hardest levels in the game, just because of all that too many sparks you have to dodge, and because of that though, it's all predictably all about timing, and everything else in this particular world is going to be super lengthy. Well, it wasn't until whenever we get to the Game Boy Advance version, oh my god, collecting everything on this level is a pain, especially concerning about the fact that not only do you have to worry about the forms of maze-like level structure, but also same applies with the forms of screen crunch as well. Oh, yeah, I honestly forgot about the screen crunch thing as you mentioned this earlier, Mighty. Well, that's only mainly because certain games that does utilize the screen crunch, in worst case scenario will have to be buddy forms of Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis for the Game Boy Advance, and on top of that, Mega Man and Bass for the Game Boy Advance, and also exponentially as well, maybe occasionally Donkey Kong Country on the Game Boy Color, and same applies with Super Mario Bros. Deluxe on the Game Boy Color as well. But relatively speaking though, that's as far as I can— oh god, there was a bomb! Yeah, I did not expect to see that, huh? But obviously we don't need to worry about the potion right now, because either way, we're now at 3 health bars, so we don't necessarily need to worry about keep on getting hit most of the time. Well, assuming, of course, if I need to be careful about the acceleration for, you know, certain character movements and stuff like that. But either way, though, that's as far as I can usually try to describe about, you know, sometimes the controls might take a bit while to get used to with this game sometimes. Well, specifically in Super Mario Bros. 2's case, so— oh, jeez. Seriously, I hate these things. They are so unpredictable. And on top of that though, if you're in a worst state scenario, like if you're in small form, well, you get out of luck like that. Especially it's bad enough with that very stingy hitbox sometimes, but either way, assumingly we'll able to try this again, so— see, as far as what Maxi has already mentioned about during the course of in Piglet's big game, that we are very, very happy that not only do we get Bodo back in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but exponentially we're able to get 5 more characters later down the road, within like each pack, within like Wave 5 and Wave 6 potentially. So either way though, it's all about speculating at the moment, so either way though, time will tell. Now I'm thinking we're most able to mention more about it, until whenever we get onto the 4th and final game in Super Mario All-Stars, which is of course Super Mario Bros. 3, because obviously about the fact that, well, it's a bit too early to say this right now. So either way, thankfully we did somehow manage able to pass for that hardest room in this particular level. So either way though, let's just go ahead and oh god, more sparks, you name it. But either way, let's go down here and able to have a conversation with Bodo for the final time. And because of this though, she does have a key. So relatively speaking, unlike the forms of how it does it on the NES version, that basically the way that she holds the actual most important items, they are clearly invisible. Whilst in this version, alongside with the Game Boy Advance version as well, they managed able to actually keep things a bit hidden until you defeated them. So yeah, I can totally see why that makes that little graphical change right there. But either way though, let's just go ahead and obtain that particular crystal orb, and looks like something tells me we have to deal with this little thingy first before we take on the final boss in the game, which appears to be none other than Wart himself. Ah, no! I didn't get enough breathing room to able to actually just to jump over him. Oh well, 10 lives left. Well, at least assuming, of course, about the fact that, again, we don't need to worry about the forms of dying a lot, because either way, we're now on to the end game, so either way though, at least specifically in Super Mario Bros. 2, so either way, let's go ahead and deal with him for reals, just to ensure that we will take care of the final boss in the game, so— despite I just got hit right there, and hit inside, and this is where we come across into, well, as to be expected, Wart himself, with utilizing the Dream Machine, and despite the fact that the Dream Machine is going to help us throughout the whole battle. So either way though, not exactly sure why that's there in the first place, but at least the graphics do look a bit more nicer this time around. So obviously it's all about a huge emphasis on timing aspect when it comes to likely in order able to deal the amount of damage to Wart. It's by simply you have to able to toss the vegetables at the right timing when he opens his mouth, because otherwise he'll just occasionally shoot out bubbles. Almost was thought that Piglet is not the only one he can able to deal with all that, since in Piglet's big game. And I do apologize for that particular capture card glitches here and there, but I do need to fix that once we get into Super Mario Bros. 3. So either way, well, that wasn't until whenever we get to like next Tuesday and next Thursday potentially. Now, I suppose the last thing I want to mention is about the fact that I can't even believe it's been about a whole month since the 12-year anniversary of the Maxi Toys as the actual channel itself, because, well, you know, as we already established that so many times in the past, time flies, you know. Yeah, especially because concerning about the fact that we've already done the room tour, and overall, everyone else seems to really like it so far. Yeah, especially noticeable because unlike in Maxi 10 counterpart of the actual room tour, there's definitely a lot more improvement over the likes of that particular channel was. But that's just me. So there we go, we've defeated Wart, and we saved the rest of the forms of the subcon. So, at least the visuals still look a lot more nicer in this room. Especially concerning now we are able to actually see the sky, rather than the forms of the dark blue, like, walls and stuff. And since we've actually beaten 20 levels with, 4 playable characters with 5 times or anything else like that, everyone else is the actual con, tributor. So in some cases though, congratulations to 4 of those characters, because you see there's 5 right there, meaning about the fact that you have to complete certain levels for each character. So either way, that pretty much takes care of the forms of Super Mario Bros. 2, aka Super Mario USA, for those of you who lived in Japan. Thankfully, it's nowhere near as, like, too punishing or hard compared to the forms of how it does it on the lost levels to me, though. But either way, though, 3 games down and only 1 more to go. But then again, we'll discuss more about it until whenever we go for this entire credit sequence. And yeah, it's all just a dream and nothing actually happened. So, nothing plot heavy or anything. So, in some cases though, I still managed able to enjoy my time with Super Mario Bros. 2. It doesn't matter if it's on the NES, but I will say the Super Nintendo version is definitely a lot more superior in my opinion, just because of all that, you know, infinite amounts of continues, so you don't have to necessarily worry about trying to able to go all the way back to the beginning of the game. But also I feel like the visuals do look really stand out on the Super Nintendo version, because the colors do pop up, and on top of all that stuff though, it's just, well, it's such a cool game. Well, despite the fact that nobody else seems to able to do not enjoy it as much compared to the forms of how it does it in the original Super Mario Bros. Or Super Mario Bros. 3, but I will say though that I still managed able to find myself enjoying my time with Super Mario Bros. 2. Definitely a little bit more underrated in my opinion, so either way though, as we said before, that we down for 3 games and only 1 more to go, so relatively speaking though, should be a lot more exciting when it comes to forms of trying to get into the 4th and final game of this entire playthrough of Super Mario All-Stars, and relatively speaking though about the fact that it should be a lot more fun, don't you think? Well, I could just gonna be thinking about the same thing, bro, because technically speaking though, we don't mind doing 2-player mode again, because it'll make the entire perspective a lot more interesting, so yeah, I was thinking about the same thing. So either way though, with that being said though, yeah, basically it shows us the actual enemy roll call, including boss fights as well. So either way though, that's pretty much about it for Super Mario Bros. 2. The end. The end indeed. So of course you can now able to hit back into the title screen, so that's a huge plus. So yeah, join us next time for more of Let's Play of Super Mario All-Stars. It's now we'll now moved on to the 4th and final game in Super Mario All-Stars, which appears to be Super Mario Bros. 3. In this case, the longest game of the bunch. So we'll see you guys until next Tuesday. Later dudes, see you guys then, so let's save and quit.